and welcome to I Am Geek, and this is episode 201. I'm Ryan, joined by my brother Chris and our good pal Katrin, and we're burdened with a glorious purpose. This week, we're talking all things Loki, and right off the bat, I want you all to know it's going to be lots and lots of spoilers. So many spoilers. It's just going to be
for all time.
Tons of spoilers for all time. We're not pruning any of them. They're all going to stay.
Oh, can there be puns?
Yes, there could be puns. But we are also joined, since it's a round table, we're joined by Ray Chase. He's back. And we're joined by an old guest of ours from way back in the time machine. Go back in iamGEEK past, and we didn't prune him. He's still there in the past. Dorian Soto is here with us. Hi, y'all.
Hey.
Hi, y'all.
Back then. Hey.
He's possibly a
Welcome
variant
back.
of the original Dorian. We're not sure.
That's true. Could be.
The other one.
But yeah, we are going to dive right into Loki. It ended last night. Well, I mean, it ended yesterday, I guess. So I watched it like 2 a.m. on.
Yeah, I stayed up and watched it myself as well.
Because the kids were up. And I was like, well, I'm just going to watch Loki since they have me up all night.
Yeah, Ryan's kids are up, so that's why I stayed up to watch.
What, do you live with him now?
I wasn't aware Ryan's kids were up, so I went to bed and watched it the next day.
Well, I'm glad that I did, because as soon as I got up, there were spoilers everywhere.
I avoided all social media, like all of it.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Even MySpace?
MySpace.
Oh, I don't have that. But yeah, because I mean, I don't know if I told you guys, we did the WandaVision one, because on WandaVision, my son and I stayed up and we watched the WandaVision finale, and I swear to you, the next day I just popped open YouTube, and there was like a YouTube, and in the thumbnail was her in the Scarlet Witch.
Of course.
Final costume. And I was like, are you kidding me? In the thumbnail. So, yeah. So all day yesterday, I couldn't get on the internet. I just looked at the Firefox icon and was like, can't chance.
Right before we started recording, I threw my back out, so I'm just sort of propped up here. So if you see me just fall over.
He's tied to a board.
Well, yeah, pretty much. I have an ice pack on my back. I was bending over to pick something up. Old man.
Right now.
Old man problems.
Yeah. But okay, so let's dive in. There's 6 episodes of Loki. I would wish there was a 7th, but
short.
because we never got that jet ski moment. There should have been an episode. I mean,
Well,
Winter
still
Soldier, Falcon and the Winter Soldier. They had a whole episode dedicated to building a boat.
Mm-hmm.
They could have had a whole episode dedicated to just him riding around on a jet ski, but they didn't.
I'm calling it right now. I think that that's going to happen in the Multiverse of Madness. You're going to see a moment where Owen Wilson, like as he's traveling through all the different universes, you're going to see Owen Wilson just
We just come through the scene. Wow.
Wow.
A space jet ski. Riding through the Milky Way.
Yeah, we'll get into that. And I think there were some missed opportunities with him in this show that would have been hilarious. But anyways, all right. So we'll just start like we usually start. Oh, first off, because this is spoilers like crazy. I was right. King Train Gang rules. So
Yeah.
Just I wanted to put that out there. King Train Gang rules.
Right for once.
I was right for once.
Man, I wish I could
Keep
be
me
right.
around. I know. I called it from the beginning. I was like, Kang is coming. I'm on the train, gang Kang. And everybody said no. It's a big train because there's many Kangs.
Yeah.
As we'll kind of find out. But anyways, I finally got something right. I was all in for Mephisto. People called me crazy and it didn't happen. So I thought I was crazy. So I went all in on Kang. And I was actually surprisingly right. So
They did point at the devil, I think, in the first episode when they were in that church and the kid pointed at like a I guess so. That was a little bit like a throw off in there. There was a slight chance, but it was no, it's too easy.
It was more like them
Chris told
pointing
me-
at the fans and going, ha ha.
Yeah, exactly.
That kind of looks like Mephisto.
They
He's not in
went
the
back and
show.
refilmed that scene just for that, just to rub it in our face.
If you cut back, the kid's going, and then he's just, yeah, that's cool.
Anyway, all right. So I thought we would just, like we usually do, we'll start with the with our overall thoughts. Dorian had a good idea right before. He was trying to get us to do it beforehand, but I was like, no, save it for the show. We sort of give our number 1 through 10 of the episode or of the series, and so let's do that. Let's just give it a 1 through 10. What we thought of the Loki first season, which we can say that
Yes.
first season now. There will be a second. So who wants to start? Chris,
Great.
go ahead.
You did it
Me?
all. Go for it. I free
It
gamed
was
it for us.
it was good.
Yeah, so
There you go. That's a number.
A number. A number. is what-
Oh,
1
a
through
number.
Give it
he
number
didn't
one.
even he didn't ask for an explanation. He just said a number. So
10. Just a number.
He's already giving you an out.
rating.
52.
Oh,
wait.
goodness.
Wait.
did you
Sorry.
give a range?
Um,
1 through 10.
Did you give a range? I don't know. I don't remember.
One
I,
to
I would
10.
give it. I'd give it a solid
difficult.
9. A solid 9. I would think
Great.
it was solid.
Solid.
Not
Not a
Not-
soft
not-
9.
not
Not a
fake
soft 9. No, this solid. This 9 is made of steel.
Mm.
Very nice.
It's made of vibranium.
Oh,
Now this is the finale or this? You said the series, right? The whole show. Yeah.
The whole show. If you were ranking it on IMDb, what would you give it?
I would say the same thing. I would say 9. I agree.
Yeah.
That's definitely one of my favorite of the 3.
I'd say like 8.5.
Yeah.
8.5,
Oh.
9.
Yeah.
There's things we'll get to that. We'll get to that. But there's things I thought that could have been done a little bit more masterfully.
hmm
That would have made it a lot more solid than it was. But yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I'll give it I'm gonna be around the same area. I'll say 8.
8?
Just to be different.
Oh, 8. Well,
Sweet.
so you
Wow.
hate it.
Numbers
Hate
going
it.
down.
Yeah, it is.
Wow.
I give it a 9. It was.
Oh, back up.
I gotta make this
9.
interesting. Come on.
At least you didn't say like 4. It was a 4. No.
One person that's gonna 3.
Negative.
I really liked it. Don't get me wrong. So,
No, you hated it. It's okay. You can just accept
but
it.
I give it an 8.
Well, Vance in our comments gave it an 8 too, so you're right there with Vance.
Yeah,
Nice.
The 8
we're
brothers.
pals.
See, Vance has this. He has some issues. There's some issues.
Mhm.
Keeping it out of that high range. It wasn't perfect, you guys. It wasn't perfect.
Come on, guys.
Anyways, all right. So let's get into the good. What was your favorite parts? Like, what was your favorite things about this show? We'll do the good, the bad, and the Loki this time.
I love the music.
Oh,
For the
the
show.
music
Yeah,
was
the music
excellent.
was
Yeah.
Man, it was so cool. That whatever that sound is with the.
It's a, I
You know?
think they used a thereman.
Maryland?
I don't know. You
think
could
they
call it
used
whatever
the
you wanted
theremin.
to. I don't have any clue. So.
No, really, that's what. it
Okay, that's great. Yeah. No,
You know what that is?
I-
That's the thing that looks like there's nothing there, and you put your hands through, and it makes all those weird sounds.
Oh.
all right.
It looks like a piece of metal that sort of comes up, and there's on a platform, and there's nothing there. But then when you put it through, it makes all these sounds. I don't know. It's called a theremin.
Like black
But
magic.
just, so the music and the style of like the TVA was just really cool. It reminded me a little bit of
Yeah,
like
it's
Mhm.
pretty fun.
Fallout and also of Umbrella Academy. Like there's a lot of Umbrella Academy kind of going on here.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's probably my 2 favorite things about the
Yeah.
series. So
Very 70s futuristic.
Yeah.
I like seeing all the other Lokis.
Yeah.
That was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Seeing the Gator Loki and the plastic Loki. I mean, that was great. I mean,
Yeah.
That's the character that I read about, and to see him actually like in the flesh was pretty awesome.
Yeah.
So
And he's gotten so much praise for that. It's been really nice to see because he's been, Richard Grant's been around for so long. So it's nice to see him getting some love.
He rocked that costume
Oh,
too.
it's awesome.
Oh man,
Like he rocked it.
Best.
And he looked like an older version of Tom Hiddleston. I mean,
Yeah.
it was amazing.
yeah.
The best scene.
And the
Oh,
theatrical.
go ahead.
I like his theatrical acting. You know, there was that moment when he's like fighting against I can't remember what it's the cloud dude. But when he's fighting against him, it's such a great scene.
When he's
awesome.
raising those buildings up, it's just
Oh,
that was the best. You know, him just.
was good. I love the like what? Okay, I gotta bring this. Why are you like you're old? We're supposed to die, right? He's just like you don't go up against like a Thanos with a knife.
Yeah.
Everybody knows
It's not gonna
that.
work.
So here's a funny thing about that, how he survived. So long ago when Infinity War
Tell us a
came
story,
out,
Uncle Ryan.
In a galaxy far, far.
I forget what year that was. Anyways, whenever that came out and Loki dies, there's a YouTube channel called New Rockstars, and they do a lot of reviews and go through all the analysis and details. Well, when that came out and Loki died, they said on their show, I bet he was just floating debris. I bet he didn't really die, and he was floating debris. And everybody gave him a hard time, like, no, that's so dumb, that's so dumb. So I don't know if Marvel saw this and was like, let's write that in to Loki or whatever. But it came true. He was floating debris. So I just thought that was hilarious because watching New Rockstars now, when that came up, they're like, wait, we were right. We were actually right about something.
Well, in that timeline.
Yeah. So yeah, I thought that he was great, perfect. Yeah. But okay, who's next?
I really liked the team up of Mobius and Loki. It was a solid character team up for the show. They really played off each other well.
You kind of got the buddy cop feel from that for a little bit, you know, with them working off each other.
Yeah.
It was good. Yeah.
Yeah, I also like the just some of the little throwaways in there, but you still got really excited when you saw Throg, for instance. That's where the up, and you just see him like reaching for the hammer, like, oh my god, that's the dude. Like you get excited over those little, you know, throwaway moments. I thought that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I can't believe that Chris Hemsworth came and voiced that part.
Really, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
He came and voiced it.
Yeah.
Well, supposedly there was going to be a bigger scene with him at the TVA when Loki shows up. There's going to be like a little fight scene between Loki and Throg. But they cut it out for pacing.
Yeah, they didn't think people would get it. But we got it. All right, so let's see who's left. Me?
Oh, I was gonna agree with Chris because I think my favorite thing was the relationship with Mobius and Loki. I wanted to see even more of that because I felt like Loki. Because I mean, I know, and we'll probably get more into this. I mean, I know the character evolved. He wasn't always the mischievous Loki that we knew in the early movies. But I felt like when he was with Owen Wilson, he was more Loki-esque than when he was with oh God, I just forgot her name. Sylvie. Yes. Because I felt like when the two of them were together, there was a little bit of I'm kind of playing you and you're kind of playing me, and that was fun. And it felt like the character's evolved, he's growing a little bit, but he's still got a little bit of that mischievous streak in there, and it was just fun to watch. And hopefully we'll get more of that in season 2.
For me, it's probably the Thanos copter. But other than that, let's see.
Gave it a 9 just for the Thanos copter.
Just for the Thanos copter. I loved Gator Loki. I read an article right after that episode. Scientists, Esquire, contact these scientists for them to confirm whether it was an alligator or a crocodile in the sea. There was a whole article, and they would send the picture to him or to the scientist, and then of course he has the little horns, and they'd be like, "That's an alligator with horns."
What am I looking at here?
Yeah. So alligator Loki was great, but Mobius and Loki together were great. I'd have to agree on that. That was just fun times. All the actors I thought paired well with each other in this show.
Yeah.
Even like the I don't know his name, the guy that Loki like not kidnaps, but he takes him to the drawer with all the stones in it.
Oh, the TVA
Oh,
agent.
he was really
yeah.
good.
Yeah.
He's like,
he
I cut
was-
you like a
he was
fish.
fun.
And
Yeah.
he's like, what's a fish?
Yeah.
So all of
Yeah.
in the
Forgot about that
I should
guy.
have wrote down the names. I thought the
Ravonna,
no, the other
Yeah, you had the
the
blue-
main TVA
Lady.
agent.
yeah.
It was
No,
like
no. Oh wow,
The-
my back's out.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
Yeah, the
She was the
back- yeah,
one
back
that.
up.
She was the one that.
Hunter B.
She got her
15.
memories. Yeah, that. I thought she did
oh,
excellent.
she was great.
Yeah.
She was-
Yeah.
Oh yes, really good.
I think my least favorite
She was.
actor character was the boy Loki. Like I don't
Yeah,
feel
yeah.
like he
Oh,
did.
really?
He was really a good actor. Like it just that sounded weird. He
That was
wasn't a
an
good
actual
actor.
variant of.
Did he
of
look
Tom
at the
Hiddleston.
camera at any point? Did anybody see him looking at the camera? Kid actor.
There.
And you know who looked
Sylvie
at the
did.
camera twice? Sylvie did.
Did
Really?
she?
It's hilarious. In the episode 3, where she's up on where the neon sign is, and they're trying to figure out, they're on that weird planet. And she says something to Loki, and Loki gives sort of a snide remark back to her, and she looks directly at the camera and just sort of gives the "What's with this guy?" type thing.
Oh.
It's hilarious. It's really funny. She looks directly into the camera. It's like, "What's up with this guy?" And then there was another scene where she did the
Knock him in
same
the
thing.
middle.
She just looked over
Yeah,
at the
it's
camera. Yeah.
90s sitcom. Bum, 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 bum.
All right, let's what's the bad? Any bad? Any things that you're just like, I should have left that out.
What was it? Was it episode 3? Yeah.
They should
The
have left that-
infamous episode 3.
Yeah, episode 3 brought it down a point for me.
If it wasn't for episode 3.
Because it was the we're working on a boat episode.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't understand why that
Huh?
episode.
You're gonna
was-
have to remind me what episode 3 is. I'm drawing a blank.
That's the
episode
one where
one
they're
where nothing
stuck on the
happened.
planet that's blowing up. That's getting hit. They're stuck on the moon that's getting
Right.
torn apart by a planet.
Mhm.
And they're just walking around. And
And they're
then
trying
on a
to
train.
escape, and
Yeah.
it was just them
It's
talking.
them
it was
it's
supposed to be
character
like a
development.
character
Yeah. I mean,
development.
there was an
But
important
it-
part at the end that almost happens or whatever that
Yeah,
causes
there was,
the
like-
rift, right? So.
Yeah, there was like one bit of good information out of that was
Yeah.
that we learned that all the TVA were variants.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it just for me it was like you were trying to get to know the characters, but like you didn't really learn about Sylvie all that
Yeah.
much. Like he would
Right.
ask her a question and she would just kind of divert it, and it was like the next episode where we got the flashback like right off the bat.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, why didn't they do that in this one? They could have like explained her character more, because like you just did what that episode did in like 2 minutes.
Yeah.
So at the beginning of the next episode, that was what it was for me. And then some of it with them fighting, it's like they just showed her like take out a whole bunch of TVA agents, and then she was having trouble with like these 2 guards on a train.
Yeah.
And then Loki was having a lot of trouble with the guards, and he got thrown off, and the thing broke. And it played like it was going to be some kind of ruse, but it ended up not being anything.
He was drunk,
Yeah. That was kind of weird too. It was like, what do we do? There's no development there. He likes to drink. Okay. I mean, we're wasting time. This isn't character development. This is just kind of nonsense.
Romancing each other.
Yeah. See, that was the thing. I never bought their relationship. I kind of felt like
Dorian
it was-
romances.
well, it felt like a Disney movie. It felt like, hey, we went on a train ride together. I love you. And it was like,
But he loves
it was
himself.
like, yeah.
That's the whole.
Yeah,
I
that's
almost would've-
himself. That's the only
I almost
person he
wish-
can love.
they had just let it stew, maybe for a couple of seasons. Let it build, have it build naturally instead of it just felt a little bit like, well, you're a Loki, I'm a Loki, and you're a female. Hey. I don't know. It just felt very sort of like Disney.
At least she wasn't a horse. Sorry.
Thank goodness.
That's from the comics.
So I have a question. What are the limitations of his conjuring, of his summoning things? Because it seems like it's pretty limited. Like
I don't know.
He was able to
he's taking a building and he's pushing it back up. I'm like
he was able to make a holster appear, or whatever you call a sheath for the sword that he gets. He was able to get that, and then a blanket, and then but nothing else. It's like, could you not have and transporting to different places. It's like it's only certain times that he would actually use those powers. And it seems like he could have used it a little bit more. But
so he's like the Hal Jordan of Greenland of Loki.
Yeah.
He can only conjure up a fist in the plane.
But when the guy asked for a ticket to get on the thing, he couldn't just make one appear. It was like, oh, you got me there.
They're trying to run to get to the big ship, the Ark, right? And they're like, we gotta get there. It's like, couldn't just transport it over there or something.
I would say that's like the overall thing for me, is that I felt like there were certain moments where those characters who are, they're gods, so why can't they do these things, and why can't they overpower these people? And so for me, the female Loki, I can't remember her name, sorry.
Sylvie.
So, she started off, like, they introduced her as this amazing character that can beat just about everybody up. And then when it gets to this point, when they finally meet, all of a sudden there's certain obstacles that she can't seem to overcome. She had been doing it for years. So it was a conflict for the sake of having it. You know what I mean?
Right.
And
there were power inconsistencies throughout the whole thing, and it was basically just like she could do enchantment, and that was kind of it. And then like the last episode, suddenly she was able to like use her magic to push away Loki and like get the sword back to herself and like do various things, and a little inconsistency.
Somebody was just paving the way. Somebody was just paving the way, and they could only do certain things because it was the only thing on the road that they were walking. Who could that have been?
Well, I guess maybe so. Yeah.
But that was my overall problem with the show. Was I feel like there was probably more masterful ways to do some of the things that they did, and I feel like kind of like in the final episode, there's a lot of exposition, and I feel like they shot it and they did it in the most boring way possible. Two people sitting there with swords in their laps across the desk while this guy continues to go on, and it's like, you did come here to kill him. I mean, could you guys be walking around the room, show Loki start to kind of like go from being like, I want to kill you, to, wait a minute, I think I might actually believe you. Instead, it was the same front of the desk pan in shot on Kang over and over. And I was like, there's so many different ways you could have shot this to make this engaging, but I feel like they took like the most boring way possible. Same thing with episode 3. You want to do character building, have the characters doing things together, not sitting there talking about love while they're riding on a train. It's like, this is so not engaging and not, fulfilling to then have them be in love 50 minutes later. It's like,
I mean, he did show on the paper with everything that was going to happen on it.
Yeah, the script.
So they sort of knew what was going to happen.
Yeah.
He showed it to him and said, oh, here's the other stuff that's going to happen right now too. And it wasn't until the moment when he said, we've reached that point, that they started moving around and they started doing things. So it wasn't until that moment when he said, okay, this is all I know. This is it. I was lying to you. Yeah. There is a point. And when we've reached that point, so now it's up to you guys.
I think some of that was still manipulation.
Yeah.
Because like, I don't necessarily, because he said something to her like, oh, you hear what this guy's saying? Like, sure, you can trust him. And it was like he was goading them into not like lining up together anymore and trying to go their separate ways again. So there was definitely still manipulation in there, which the character had faked his death in the comics before. Like they kind of base this off of Immortus in the comics, who's a future version of Kang that basically runs the TVA with the three guys, but in this it's just him. But it's almost like he wanted that to happen rather than Loki win the battle, and so he wanted to die, but for him it's not necessarily dying. I don't think. I think this leads to a path where it kind of frees him of other Kangs better.
Yeah. But I thought Jonathan Majors, the actor that plays He Who Remains Kang, excellent job.
He was fantastic.
Oh my goodness. I saw him in that show on HBO, Lovecraft Country.
Yeah.
Excellent on there.
Yeah,
he did an excellent job. Now, I'll go ahead and do that since you just talked about that. In episode, what was it, 5? Is that's the one where they cut the head off the
lizard people?
Yeah. So when they cut the head off and Sylvie walks over to it and picks it up, you hear a voice in the background, if you go back and listen, that's his voice saying, "See you soon."
Oh, interesting.
Oh, really?
Yeah, isn't that cool? It's like it's his voice. It's like Jonathan Majors, and he said, "See you soon," or something. Whatever he says in the at the end when she stabs him, he says it there too. The same thing.
Huh. That's good.
Yeah, so it's sort of cool.
Cool.
That's my water bill moment for Loki. On WandaVision, I was like, "Did you guys see the water bill? What was on it?" They're like, "No." I look for weird things, so that was my water bill moment. We've sort of started going through. Let's go back to the beginning, episode 1, and go through just briefly the episodes. It started with the episode 1 is called "Glorious Purpose." And what did you guys think, if you can remember back that far, because it was so long ago?
6 weeks.
6 weeks ago. When you first saw the episode, what were your thoughts about what this show was going to be, or what was happening, or anything like that? You remember? 'Cause I probably don't.
I remember liking it a lot.
Yeah.
But to me, it was like okay, it's going to be like him basically trying to take control of the TVA at some point. He's going to try and manipulate and bend all this to his will, basically. But he's going to have to help them along the way to get Sylvie, or the variant at the time. But that was basically like what I thought the plot was going to be, like which it kind of did for a little bit, but his personality did change pretty quickly.
Yeah.
To not necessarily wanting to control the TVA, but also like keep control of it and make sure nothing bad was going to happen.
Yeah.
But I did, because I actually put the episode on today, and it was interesting when Mobius is talking to him, how Loki is basically saying like, "Oh, people shouldn't have free will. Like there shouldn't be free will. Like I need to be in charge of this." So it's like he's like he who remains at that point. That's who he kind of thinks he is, and it changes over the course of the show to where he's like, "Oh, wait, like free will. Everybody should have free will," but then it kind of swaps a little bit at the end again, so it kind of goes back and forth.
Yeah,
interesting.
Although at the end, though, I wonder if he's more concerned not so much with the free will as much as something worse coming.
Yeah,
you know, like, well, everybody. It's either this or we destroy the entire universe. So destroying the entire universe is probably worse. So maybe
and he has in his mind, because he saw it on the TV screen, the TVA. He has in his mind how bad Thanos gets, right? And he's like, we don't want that again, because ultimately, A, that could lead to my death. B, that could lead to worse things. And then he also now cares for someone, and he says it. I just want you to be okay. I just want you to be safe. So I think a lot of that played into that at the end there. That he was looking out for Sylvie more than himself.
Yeah, the first episode to me when I first saw it, and I don't, this might be a really dated reference, but it reminded me of when Gina Davis and Alec Baldwin went to the, died. And so they're like, now they're going through this like circuit of what they need to do to get processed into death. And so they're meeting all these different characters. Sitting there like, what's happening? What are you doing? Like, well, this is all the stuff you said. You need to sign this. I will. And then like, it's just very comical in the way they do that. So I felt when I watched that episode, that's immediately like what I went to. I was like, oh, this is that Beetlejuice moment. And so he's just trying to figure things out, just like everybody else. And there was even a point I remember, because I even forgot this too, like where he was in that timeline, because I mean, like much like we watched all the things, so we knew that he was going to die, but he didn't know. So when he got to the part where he's seeing his mother getting killed, he's like, wait a minute. I didn't know about this. Like, well, this hasn't happened yet. You were like, you were off trying to steal the Tesseract, and I'm like, oh my God, that's right. I forgot about that. So he is totally like out of it, and I thought that was that was a really cool acting moment for Tom Hiddleston too, just watching like everybody else watching his own move, watching Marvel. Basically, it's like,
the TVA has the best Marvel box set.
They do.
It totally does. So you're watching him react, and it's like, holy crap, that's so awesome. But yeah, it was really. What's that?
Oh, sorry. I was just gonna say, when you said Gina Davis, I thought you were like talking about Thelma and Louise.
No,
it reminded me of like Thelma and Louise when they were going over the cliff.
Yeah, but it definitely had that Tim Burton-esque feel of how he cycled through all these different very hokey characters, and then you meet I can't remember the name of the clock lady,
Miss Minutes.
But when she's introduced, like, oh my God, this is totally like the little lady with the cigar, like, you're getting processed over here, so like you gotta go, you're dead now, but let me tell you what's gonna happen to you. So it totally had that little moment, and I feel like it gave Loki that chance to kind of really process it, and as like an audience watching him perform, I thought that was such a great scene. So that was like probably one of my favorite episodes.
Yeah,
it was if like Epcot ran. Like,
what's that? Yeah.
The timeline. It's like an Epcot ride for the timeline.
Hi, y'all. What did you think about, when he goes through the aura detector thing, and they're like, we need to make sure you're not an android or a robot or whatever. Do you think that they don't want androids or robots in there because A, they would immediately know what's going on, or B, they can't control them like they can people? They can't make the variants work for them because they're androids, and it wouldn't work. Like they would figure it out, and they couldn't control them and make them employees of the TVA.
Well, maybe it just couldn't really be a variant if it was a robot,
Yeah.
Maybe it's...
Well, I don't know, because there's a scene like where Loki's trying to escape, and the hunter woman comes in and she swipes at him, and he uses the collar or whatever to zap himself away. She hits a chair, and the chair evaporates. Like the chair prunes.
The chair has variants.
I know. I'm just like, does all the furniture in this place have variants?
Yeah, all the stuff pruned. Yeah, in the
carnival tent or whatever, or the Renaissance Fair tent.
I just imagine, like, I don't know, He Who Remains going to like an IKEA or something, and just it's like, okay.
So I'm wondering if that was anything, or if it was just like, it would be a funny joke. Am I a robot? I don't know.
It seems like a funny joke. Like,
I think it was just
you'll explode.
Yeah.
I just thought it was funny that he even had to second guess it. Like, wait a minute. It's like that life. Like, am I just dreaming this entire life that we're living right now? It's crazy.
All right, let's move on to episode 2. Really fast. I'm trying to think if there was anything special or.
Was that the Rock or the Infinity Stones moment when he realized?
That was in 1.
That was in
1. Yeah,
episode 2 is basically Loki getting up to speed, and them going out into the field.
Right. And he tries to like pull a fast one.
Yeah.
Yeah, at the Ren Fair or whatever.
Yeah. Which was great, and that was really cool. I like that a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I love the moment where you're seeing all the different kinds of Lokis, where they're showing like the little holograms of all, like the Loki. I almost wanted them to just cut to another scene of Jeff Goldblum with the tentacles. If they had just, well, that's a different variant. You know, because that was a missed opportunity.
Like soccer Loki.
Yeah, that was a good one.
And then episode 3 was Lamentus.
Mm-hmm.
Which we kind of talked about.
Yeah. Episode 4. Yeah. Episode 4 is the Nexus event. So that's when they get brought back to the TVA.
Mm-hmm.
All that stuff. That's the episode that has the guest cameo that nobody knew that was out of the blue. Nobody knew that was coming.
Lady Sith.
Mm-hmm.
Lady Sith made an appearance, which I thought that was hilarious.
Yeah, that was cool.
Hey, Lady Sith. And then over and over and over, him getting pummeled. It was so funny. So I think she's coming back for the next Thor.
Yeah,
is what I heard.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yes, she is. Like everybody's gonna be in that movie.
Yeah,
all the Guardians, Thor, Natalie Portman,
everybody.
It's like everyone's gonna be in that. Everyone's gonna be in Spider-Man, and everyone's gonna be in Doctor Strange.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I read, I think today that Loki might be in Doctor Strange.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah. Now it might not be this Loki. It could be a different variant if the multiverse
alligator Loki
falling apart. So
Gator Loki's coming back.
Vengeance.
All right, let's go on to episode 5, which is my favorite episode of the series. This is like an Easter egg hunt, if there ever was an Easter egg hunt for a movie. There was so much going on in this episode. There was so many things to see. I mean, it was every turn, every scene, there was multiple things that you could recognize. And what stood out to you the most? What was the one thing that you saw that you were just like, that's amazing that they included that? Besides Throg. I mean, that's sort of a given, I think.
Oh, well.
Well, when we were watching it, my son noticed, he's saying, I think I saw Avengers Tower and there was a Q on it. And I was like, what? And then I went and I looked afterwards, and it was like the name of Kang's company or something that I guess in the comics they end up buying Avengers Tower. That was there, which I was like, oh, that's kind of neat. And the Dark Aster was crashed out there somewhere, and that was kind of cool.
Mm-hmm. And I love they had President Loki or whatever. Just the one scene of the alligator attacking him just cracked me up. Like I was laughing out loud at that. Yeah. It was so
Did you realize how long he screamed? Like when it cuts away from him, in the background you can still hear President Loki screaming and running around. It's the same scream, it just carries on, and it goes on for like the whole scene.
I think I might do that too if my hand was ripped off.
Really funny. It's like,
and the regular Loki's reaction to just all them fighting was just great. Just like, oh, really? This is what I'm like, isn't it? Oh, jeez.
Self-reflection. It definitely had like a Captain Hook moment too, where he's taking his hand, like,
yeah.
So cool.
I thought it was cool that they included some Easter eggs in there that were from our timeline, if you want to call it that, real life. They had the big ship that drops down was actually a real ship that disappeared. People don't know what happened to it, and that they were saying that the government was doing experiments on this ship to make it invisible, and that it actually teleported and went away. And so that was a cool thing to include, because like, oh, so that's what happened to that ship. It was just in the Loki timeline. It was just at the end. So that was cool to see that. And of course you had the Sphinx with the nose on it. And and of course
What
the
was
Thanos
the-
comic. I thought
What
was
was the one that they
hilarious.
covered in the first episode? There was also like it was actually based on a real
Oh,
event.
DB Cooper.
TV
Steve
Right,
Cooper.
yeah.
Love
That-
that.
Such a great
Yeah.
scene, like how they explained that. It's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
That was cool.
I was
But
watching-
it was unexpected too, because I thought that was going to be part of like him as a TVA agent, but it was
Mhm.
like him and Thor like
There,
just goofing
yeah.
around or something. Yeah.
yeah.
yeah,
I had to stop and explain to my wife who DB Cooper was.
Uh-huh.
I was like, DB Cooper. She's like, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm like, pretty sure I learned this in school. She's like, we didn't.
Yeah, he paused it, took about 30 minutes explaining the whole thing to her, and then started the show again.
Pretty much. That happened. Okay, I don't know if she was listening. That happened on the last episode. So Kang gives his big speech about, and he drops in the little globs that turn into him and stuff.
Kang
You know,
globs.
does the whole story, does the whole thing, and then at the end, and he goes, "Wait till you see, you know, you think I'm evil? Wait till you see my variants." And she goes, "He has variants," and I'm like, Did you not hear the big whole monologue that he just did? And yeah, I heard it. She's like, maybe we should go back and listen again. So I had to rewind and do it again.
I did like a lot of those mini variants had like the cowl, the king cowl.
Yes.
yeah, that's cool.
And the statue at the end has the King the Conqueror outfit.
Yeah.
Yes, he did have the outfit.
That was so cool.
As a person who reads comic books, though, and I know Ray talked about this a little bit, the exposition that goes on. I felt like it was one of those panels, and I don't know if you guys, you know, when you notice this when you're reading comic, but it just felt like one of those panels where you're just seeing a head, and then just tons of text
Yeah.
throughout, and you're like, oh my god, I gotta read this whole thing.
Yeah. Yeah. It was really cool. I just wish they had just shot it different. I mean, I loved when he was like zipping around the room, and so and at the same time, because he's up, he can be a little bit more taunting and then a little bit more like annoying them, because it's kind of like, I'm one step ahead. I knew you were gonna do that. That's why I popped over here. You know, and that was kind of fun. But yeah, I mean, it just went on for so long. Cut back to them. They're sitting there listening with their sword. Cut back to him doing his stuff. Cut back to him still listening. Still listening.
He jumped up on the desk.
Oh my gosh, it's been like 20 minutes.
It needed more canon.
Yeah. He did such a great job though, because that one
he was
moment, because
really
he's sort of like joking, and you know, he's got that humor, and that one moment when his demeanor completely changed was like amazing.
Oh,
he
yeah.
just went he just went from this like and then he just went, but then this happened, and it was just like, wow, this guy's good.
When they crossed the threshold, whatever that moment was, he looked like he was really scared.
Yeah.
Like, and then when he was like, I said I knew everything that was going to happen. I kind of wasn't telling the truth, because now I don't know what's going to happen. Which I was like, well, that's really cool.
It reminded me of the scene, a little opposite of it though, from Doctor Strange, when like the Ancient One is like just dying and like looking out the window. She's in her astral form. She's like, I've whenever I looked ahead, this is as far as I can see.
Yeah.
To this point, but she was very like peaceful and acceptance of it, and he was fearful of that.
Yeah.
So,
well, then what was interesting too is I think I was reading some stuff that some of the writers are big fans of Lost, and I was watching a thing, and they were showing some comparisons between stuff in Loki and stuff in Lost, and there's definitely, obviously, the smoke monster being a huge lift, but even some of the dialogue that he was talking about I don't know what's going to happen next and whatnot. They were showing scenes in Lost in some of their final seasons that they had dialogue very much in the same sort of vein as that. And there was also the whole thing about good and evil and free will and destiny, and so I don't know. It's kind of cool having those themes resurface in this.
It was cool. I love the apple. To me, I don't know if this is what they intended to do, but to me, because he says, I'm the devil that you've been looking for, and he's got the apple, and he's basically offering them the apple, offering at the new Adam and Eve to be rulers. So I thought that was really cool how they just sort of threw that apple in there. And if you know that story, if you know that background of Adam and Eve, then it's like, oh, so he's basically saying, you're the new rulers of the earth, Adam and Eve. You're the new ones. I'm giving it to you.
Wasn't there something like that also in WandaVision? A fruit, like wasn't there like a orange or some? There was something with a fruit. I can't remember what.
I know. They talked about they used the fruit to talk about how big the baby was.
Yes. But then they actually had that fruit somewhere in there.
Yeah.
And I think
they had the fruit.
Well, I was also wondering because somebody was bringing up and they were doing some screen cap comparisons because I guess there was something I never watched any of the trailers, like the mid-season trailers or anything like that. But I guess there's footage in there of like King Loki of him ruling Asgard, which was not in any of the episodes. And then there was one of him like kind of turning around, and somebody took a screen cap and said that this looks like the room that he's in Avengers Tower at the end.
That is.
So I was wondering if, when Miss Minutes is like, basically tempting him, like, hey, you could rule Asgard. Hey, you could beat the Avengers. Did they originally actually shoot like a montage with voiceover of him like on the throne? This could be your future, or this could be your future. What do you think? And then they're like, nah, that's too cool. Let's just have her talk.
Yeah, that was the rumor that was what it was going to be. And then I think they cut it for time or something.
Yeah.
Wasn't that the greatest jump scare in Marvel cinematic history, though? When she pops in this minute, that last episode. Hey, y'all! It was so funny.
Second only to Green Goblin in Spider-Man.
Oh, that's true. That was before MCU. So
yeah.
I did see like at the beginning of the episode, like they have like two universes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw someone comment like, "Oh, well, this could be like the Marvel universe, and this is like the Fox universe."
Yeah, somebody mentioned that.
Two
supposedly, if there could be some dialogue in there from an X-Men movie.
Oh, right.
Mixed in. Getting jumbled in. Now, there was dialogue from the MCU, and then there was dialogue from our timeline, if you want to call it that, like actual real life people. And then and somebody said they think there might have been something from an X-Men movie, which would be pretty cool.
Huh.
But there's probably not. Or if there is, they were just doing it to be fun.
Well, what's interesting, too, is that because I started thinking about this today, is that the timeline was already starting to splinter. Remember? Because she had those vials, which they never really explained how or what her plan was, right? Because she had all these little pads and she had all these vials of reverse juice, and then she sent them through. And we don't know where they went or what they did or how they were going to then put reality back to the way it was. But
I think that was like a distraction. I think it was basically she collected all those and like started all these timeline branches, so they had to react to that. Like everyone was reacting to that, and it took their focus away from the TVA. So she could go in and try and get to the Time Lords.
Because I was wondering today, I was like, was that branching still happening in episode 6, or did they have that under control?
But I do feel like I'm gonna just call him a Mortis. I don't know. Like that, I do feel like this was part of the plan. Like still, because when he got to that threshold, it's like immediately like branches started happening.
Yeah.
So I really feel like he was starting to lose control of stuff. Like the Lokis could like just automatically just started like a huge branch. And I feel like he had some plan that's going to lead into the other movies that's going to fix his problem that he's not able to control anymore. So he found a more viable fix to the evil Kangs. They're trying to.
But the other thing too is that since there is going to be another season, and we don't know how many seasons they might go. I mean, it could very well end up being sort of like Mandalorian, where they're still doing chapters, even though it's the second season. Where it could end up being by the end, it's like Loki is 12, 15 episodes, and when you watch them all together, it all makes complete sense, and it's a full story. Like this isn't like necessarily the final episode, like final light beam, sky beam, whatever, a big fight, and it's the end. It's like, well, this isn't really the end because we have another 6 episodes to go. This is maybe the middle or the end of the first third or quarter of the overall story. So it'll be interesting to see, where it goes, and then when you watch it all together, if it ends up becoming more like a series of books rather than, little mini movies.
Yeah.
When do you think season 2 is going to happen?
I don't know.
Because like Kang is going to be like a major player in the Marvel movies for a while. Like, I mean, like Spider-Man, you're seeing like the multiverse happening, like the Doctor Octopus. Like, I mean, the Multiverse of Madness is the title of Doctor Strange, so it's going to be happening in that. And I thought there was another movie too, but I mean, second season of Loki.
He's the big bad guy in Ant-Man.
Yeah, he's the big bad guy in Ant-Man. So
I'm thinking Loki season 2 will have, my guess would be right before Ant-Man to set it up more. So like maybe.
I could see
22?
Maybe, yeah.
Late 2022? Like December or January 2023?
I'm also wondering if there could have been a misdirect at the end of the episode when he sees the statue of Kang the Conqueror. Like, he might not be in charge of the TVA. He might be the founder of the TVA. And so when, like, Morbius is like, what does he want us to do? Does he want us to chase all these branches down? And, we thought he was talking about maybe Loki or whatever. And now, after seeing the statue, we think he's talking about the boss, Kang. Maybe it's not Kang. Maybe it's Kang founded the TVA. He's like their god. We do everything that we do for Kang the Conqueror, but there's somebody new that's in charge of the actual TVA.
And there could be multiple Kangs. Like it
could be one of his variants.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking when Renslayer goes into the door saying she's going to go find free will, that she actually goes and finds another Kang. Maybe it is Kang the Conqueror that she finds.
Before she says that, like Mobius is talking about, like, we should give everybody free will, and she's like, the only person that has free will is the person in charge.
Yeah.
So to me, when she says I'm off to find free will, to me that's like she's going to go try and take charge. Because that's the only way to get free will is to be in charge.
I thought it might set up the relationship with her and Kang from the comics.
Yeah, I mean, the relationship varied in the comics. At first, it was like he was a conqueror conquering her world, and they were at odds. And then they, fell in love, but then they fought again, and then she took charge of everything, and she like named herself Kang at one point. So I feel like she's gonna be more of like an in charge, wanting to run person rather than like a love interest for Kang.
So did I miss something with her pen and whatever? Because we know your secrets, and it's like you're a variant like everyone else.
Yeah. Well, that's just how they got everybody else to realize we're all variants, because the person who's in charge of us is a variant. So that means we're all variants, and they're like, oh crap. Oh yeah, all right. And
she seemed to, and since she had that pen, it's almost like she at least knew that much. She knew people were variants.
Okay.
Yeah, but her name wasn't Renslayer at the school. It was something else. It was on the wall, or her diploma or whatever.
Yeah.
So her name was different, unless she was in somebody else's office.
I still want Morbius to be a variant of Phil Coulson. I think that'd be awesome. It's like, you stabbed me in the back, Loki.
I thought instead of a pizza car him riding in on, it would have been hilarious if it was a race car, like Lightning McQueen.
A red race car.
I've seen somebody do a meme of that. They put him driving Lightning McQueen instead of the Pizza Planet truck.
Pizza Planet, yeah. Man, that was super convenient that he was right there near where she came in, right? That was lucky.
It was all planned. Somebody was paving the way.
I mean, they did show that things, you could see people appearing, like it's like things would shoot down. So he saw something shoot down. He's like, I need to go help that person, whoever it is. I need to help them. I guess, but I don't know. It's kind of weird.
What else we got? It's kind of weird. So do you think, I don't know if we mentioned this because I'm out of it right now, where Loki got pushed into Is that the time? Is that a different?
It seems like it is.
Or is that the same TVA? Or
either it's the same TVA or it's a different one because they didn't recognize him, right? It seemed like they didn't recognize him, but it could have been that their minds were kind of like changed because all of a sudden something happened to Kang. So I don't know.
I mean, because it's interesting you think about it, because like the TVA is apparently in a place that's outside of time.
Sure.
So, like, how is that necessarily affected? Yeah, like it's probably in the quantum realm. Yeah, and time works differently.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So,
Of course it does.
I felt like he got Marty McFly. Like he comes back and he remembers everything, and everyone's like, "Who are you?"
Yeah.
mm-hmm.
Did you sleep in your clothes again, Loki?
Unless the TVA is just full of Mobiuses now. There's just like 100 of them running the TVA.
Yeah.
Which would be great.
Now they're not variants; they're just clones.
Yes. Well, in the comics, I think most of the TVA agents didn't have faces.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So that would have been even weirder.
Mm-hmm.
That would have been really cool.
The thing with this series, I think they did a really great job. If you really think about it, with the ending and with Kang kind of explaining stuff and explaining his past and so forth, they did a great job on the show of explaining what variants are and kind of what causes them, and the fact that you can have a variant. It may not be you, it may not look like you, it may not be the same sex as you, it may not be the same species as you. So it's kind of like, it's interesting setting that up for the movies and beyond, because who knows what they're thinking about doing and so forth, and if this is going to culminate in some sort of like end game final battle with all of the heroes and all of their variants, and you might have variants of Ant-Man that are reptiles or women, and Wasp might be a guy, and who knows? I mean, it could, they just set it up that you can have variants, and it could be anyone.
Yeah, there could be a
Spider-Ham.
There could be a secret war, if you will.
Yes.
secret.
What?
Yeah.
Yes.
There could be a hidden Kang coming up. Someone working with them, and they find out you're a Kang. You've been a Kang this whole time.
Did you get canned? I totally got canned.
So does this kind of set up What If, or is What If they're just them doing different
I
things?
think
Yeah.
When you saw all these things branching off, when you saw that timeline just go, it just looked like a bunch of hair follicles coming out. I'm like, this is What If happening right
now. Yeah. Which is great, because when that show got advertised, you're like, oh, this will be cool, sort of like a What If.
Yeah.
And now it's like, wait a minute, now you're showing us what just happened when all the things branched.
Yeah.
And I feel like it could be a way to set up characters that could pop up in them.
That's interesting. Yeah.
I'd love to see a live action Peggy Carter as Captain America.
Yeah,
That'd be really cool.
Yeah.
Marvel
Carter.
Zombies. Chris, you're the smart one of the bunch.
Wow.
What is?
I don't know why you decided that.
What is the?
He looked around the room.
Yeah, I was like, I have actually a dartboard over here that has all of your faces on it, and I just throw a dart. It's like, oh, he's the smart one. Okay, what is the name of Kang's in the comics? His city. That.
Oh, I don't remember.
You're the smart one.
Kangtopolis.
It's the place that he conquered from Ravonna.
Wow.
Yeah,
I don't remember the name of the city.
Well, there's a theory going around that city is going to be the Quantum Mania Ant-Man place. That's how Kang is going to come into this story of Ant-Man, is that this, because it's like a microscopic, I don't know. And somebody said one clue that we'll know that it is that place, even if they don't call it that place, is the Sphinx will actually be there, like we saw in Loki with the nose on it, because it is featured prominently in that little city or whatever in the comics. So that's a would be a good way to bring Kang into it, because I'm like, how's Kang going to be an Ant-Man?
Well,
that would be an interesting way.
Yeah, 'cause, I mean, the Sphinx was his spaceship, basically.
Yeah.
because he was Ramatut. He went back in time and like, I'm gonna rule Egypt, and that's where he met Fantastic Four for the first time and fought them.
And he was in the comics. He was in the comics. He was related to Reed Richards, right?
Yeah, there were variations. Like it's changed like over time through the comics, but yeah, like he was like Nathaniel Richards. He was like a.
And that's the costume that they based this version of King on, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That costume was sort of the same as Nathaniel Richards or whatever his name is. But that would be an interesting way to bring him into Ant-Man. It would make the most sense to me, I guess, because they go into the quantum realm or whatever. They go to this Quantumania city.
And I can't wait to see him marry Wanda and Vision. That character, he married them in the comics.
Kane did?
What's going to happen?
Well, Mortis, the character, Mortis married them. He also married. It was a double wedding. Because it was Mantis and the Swordsman got married, which the Swordsman's not even in the movie.
Oh, well, they better get him in the movies fast.
Yeah, they get married.
All right, so where does it go from here? Where do you think we're not going to see Kang until Ant-Man, or how's it going to work out?
Oh, we're definitely going to see him in Ant-Man.
Well, I know we're going to see him, but until Ant-Man. Are we not going to see him until we get to Ant-Man? Or season 2 of Loki? Or
is that supposed to be the next movie? Because
no, that one's like
the next one's like Spider-Man.
Next one is the Eternals. So we got Shang-Chi and the 10 Rings, and then we have the Eternals, and then we have Spider-Man, and then we have Doctor Strange.
That's when I think we're going to see him again.
I can see there being an after credits in Spider-Man.
Yeah.
With them.
Because they started doing the same thing they did with Thanos. Because once they kind of lined up and they're like, yeah, we're going to do Thanos. We're going to do the Infinity War. They started like having little pop-up Thanos moments like here and there. Some of them out of context, making no sense at all.
Yeah,
but
and they'll start like, because they're doing the introduction now. They're introducing the Eternals. They're just like they did, like, here's Iron Man, here's Captain America, here's Thor. With each of those, they like linked them with the after credits or something like that. I can see Shang-Chi linking to Doctor Strange because is it Wong?
Yeah,
Wong is in it. And he's fighting the Abomination. So there's your link right there to get him into Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
Looking forward to that one though. Just for the choreography is going to be amazing. The fighting.
Oh, it's going to be so cool.
Can't wait.
Our comments, Vance mentioned the arcade game in Kid Loki's lair. We haven't talked to Katrin about this yet, but Chris and I have already been talking about this. That's a plan for a future episode of iamGEEK. We're going to deep dive into that arcade game, what it's all about, because it is a tall tale that happened in Washington with the FBI. Oregon. So I think we may save that one till iamGEEK time to be one of our Halloween episodes.
Wow,
I don't know if we'll save it till then, but I just before it happened in Loki, I just recently listened to a podcast all about it, and I was like, this thing's insane. If you don't know about it, it's this video game that was put in these stores that supposedly the FBI put in there to mind control teenagers and everything.
Oh,
and that's the whole podcast right there. That's you just
no.
Way to go, Ryan.
There's a lot of crazy stuff.
Give us a chance, Ryan.
That happens. There's a lot of crazy stuff that happens with that story. But yeah, we're going to talk about that in another episode. Commercial break, because we're already over an hour.
Oh, yeah.
This weekend, we will be at Comic Palooza. Hopefully, I will be vertical at Comic Palooza, and Katrin and Chris will not be rolling me around in a wheelchair at Comic Palooza. But we will be there, so if you're in Houston, come join us. And speaking of Loki, we are going to have these cool buttons. Loki, iamGEEK Loki buttons that you can pick up if you see us or at a table, random table. We'll just throw them in places at Comic Palooza.
The podcast booth.
the podcast.
They're calling it the
Pavilion?
podcast booth, and it's on one map. So I'm pretty sure that's what it's called now.
Oh, so it's not the pavilion. It's been downgraded to a booth.
We're right beside another stage, though. There's the Emerald stage is right beside us, which is kind of cool. But yeah, it's exciting.
Yeah, so we'll be there 11:30 doing a live show about lightsabers, surprise, with the owner of Crimson Dawn lightsabers, and then we'll be 6:30. We'll be back there to do Battle Royale with Cheese. Which is our game show, and then the winner of that is going to take on Chris, right, Chris?
Yeah.
I don't know about that.
I thought you said take home, Chris. I was
Yeah,
like,
take home Chris. The winner
Jeez.
will take home
Yay!
Wow. I'm an object to you.
Yeah.
I am a
But there will also
closet
be-
full of Chris's.
Yeah. I got all kinds of variant Chris's. Some of them have hair, which is crazy.
Oh,
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Don't get too
But-
crazy.
Yeah, there'll be actors from The Mandalorian there. There will be one actor from Saved by the Bell.
Not both of them.
but it's
Not-
Zach.
Not both.
It is Zach.
Zach Morris
I
will be
mean,
there.
that's
Yeah, Ron Perlman's going to be there.
Ron Perlman.
Which I got my ticket to get an autograph.
nice.
Nice.
Sweet.
I'm gonna bring down our book of art, book of life, and see if
Should
they'll
we-
sign.
That's
Should we go with you, or is it just like a one?
No,
It's
no.
the secret
Can we give
room.
you our book?
When you go into
We
this
just stand
room,
behind you?
Did you sign
I
all these?
worked on the thing, and so did all these people, but they can't be here. Oh.
I paid for my ticket.
$60, $60.
Hey, or is there a limit? Can you only get like one thing signed?
I think
I'm
so.
I'm sure it's like one thing.
But
signed.
you-
And I'm not even sure if he'll sign the book. They may do just this thing like, oh, well, you have to take a picture. But I'm hoping if I tell him like, hey, I worked on the movie, you know.
Prove it to me, kid.
I made you who you are.
Here's my IMDb. I animated your face.
Your face.
And then he's like, I'm going to sign on your face.
It's like, that's fine. I'm never watching it again.
And then get tattooed.
It's
Ron Perlman's
Clayface.
face.
Sign it face.
But we hope you can join us if you're in the Houston area, or if you're not in the Houston area, just fly on down.
That's what I'm doing.
And we'll be there Saturday and Sunday. Yeah, I will be there. Hopefully, we all three will hopefully be there in costume, cosplaying at some point. I'll be the old man Kestis because I'm way older than Cal Kestis.
It's a
but that's who I'm
Kestis
going
variant, so it's okay.
with. Yeah, Kestis variant, old man Kestis with his BD1, hopefully riding on my shoulder. If I can get that to work, I'm having some problems with it, but I think I'm going to get it to work. And then Chris will be Bill Burr. He's just
Bill
going as Bill Burr.
He's gonna be the comedian. He's
Bill
gonna
Burr.
have a little beep button that he has to hit every once in a while.
Hey, you know what I hate?
Beep.
You know what really grinds my gears?
Can you just talk like that the whole weekend?
That'd be awesome.
Yeah, the whole weekend.
Can I have a
I
Coke?
hate everybody. I mean, Star Wars, really? Really, Star Wars?
And then Katrin is going as an original character, brought to life
Brought to life.
by Chris Cage.
Yes.
Nice.
It's a
bounty
bounty
hunter?
hunter, yes. Made up bounty hunter that has some Nintendo things.
Oh.
Oh, you are doing Nintendo.
Well,
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
I have a zapper gun that I converted into
Yeah,
a
that
blaster.
you
Yeah,
converted.
I do
His
have
original name is Soba Net.
I also have a Nintendo controller that I made from what is it? It's Captain N, the cartoon, you know. And I'm trying to decide if I want to put that in there or not. But
Do you have
Hey, bring it on.
I don't have
Yeah.
the Power Glove. I looked for one, and then I was like, I could make one, but I didn't. If I did, then I definitely would have gone with like the crossover of the Captain N with Star Wars. But
Oh, well.
but it's gonna be fun.
Yeah, we're gonna have fun though.
Yeah.
Yeah, all our costumes are
Top notch.
movie worthy.
Yeah, there's even part of mine right there.
I spent time on mine.
You did. You built a backpack.
Look at that. That's cool.
That's cool.
You can't see anything.
No,
What if they got him around?
I can see as long as I don't put the lights in there. I've got some lights that make it kind of cool, so we'll see.
Put the lights in.
Yeah.
You should carry around
Anyways.
your little egg carton, the
Oh,
Baby Yoda egg.
Oh,
Baby Yoda
I can't
egg
carry
thing.
that
You should carry
thing
that around.
because it's very heavy with all the liquid that I have in there. It's actually soap, blue soap. So
that was our commercial for Comic Blue.
Yeah.
It's a long commercial.
that is a
Yeah.
long commercial.
Any last thoughts on Loki before we wrap it up? Because we're already.
So
over an hour.
did y'all notice all the people talking during the intro of the last episode? Like there's voices.
Yes.
So my family likes to turn on the closed captioning on our Roku TV, so I have to go and turn it off. But I left it on, and which is cool because I got to see all the people that actually the voices that you hear. You know, like Maya Angelou was one of the voices in there.
Yeah.
Oh, neat.
All these, of course, Avengers characters or Marvel
Did it
characters.
Say
But
any X-Men characters?
I'll have to go back. I don't think so, but it was like it was weird because it was people from our timeline, our history, that were in there, plus the MCU characters, I should say, and just I don't know. I didn't get it. I was like, what's the point of this? But I don't know. There's something to it,
Yeah,
I don't know.
that it leads into the it's talking about the timeline. It leads into it's part of Loki. It's not part. Yeah,
Well, yeah,
but
I mean,
it's telling about the different
sure,
timelines.
sure.
Timelines, variants.
Yeah, whatever.
This is why it's an 8 for him.
That's right.
It was a 9 up until that intro.
Yeah.
That did it for me.
It's
This is
I didn't
stupid.
understand what they were
Go ahead,
saying. I
hit
had
eight.
to have the closed caption in there. They're
Like
all
everybody's
bumbling.
talking over everybody.
I didn't get it.
Anyways, so I'm ready for season 2. It can come out tomorrow.
It won't.
Oh, okay. Let's final thoughts. Rank the 3 Marvel shows that have been out so far. So we got WandaVision, we got Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and we have Loki. Let's rank them. Dun dun dun.
Good, and good. I'll go from least to greatest.
Okay.
I'll go Falcon, Winter Soldier, WandaVision, and then Loki.
So Loki's your favorite. I like it.
Yeah, he's
I like
adorable.
I will go next. I mean, the thing is, it's kind of hard to rank them. I mean, they were all good, But I would say, in terms of like total satisfaction, my least favorite would probably be WandaVision, then Falcon, Winter Soldier, and Loki. Falcon Winter Soldier was just an action show. It wasn't trying to be a mystery or set up anything or oh my gosh, and it just delivered. I mean, delivered from that aspect. And again, kind of what we were talking about at the beginning. WandaVision set up all these expectations and oh this and oh that. I don't know. Oh look, it's Petro and whatever. And then it was like no, we're not gonna have payoff in any of that. And so that kind of left me feeling kind of weird by the end. But then, like I said, Loki ended pretty strong, and it, sure, lots of people predicted it was going to be Kang, and it was, and it's like that's great because that was awesome. It wasn't a bait and switch, or you thought it was going to be something cool, but it was just another Loki. So.
Dorian.
Yeah, I think I'm on the same boat with Street. He said, what was it? Loki, I'll give it a 9, 8.5 for WandaVision, and then Winter Soldier probably like a 6 or a 7. I think because I don't know, I wasn't as engaged with the villain wasn't interesting enough for me. I wish Baron Zemo. Really wish that he was. I mean, he was a fun character. I feel like they could have taken it in that direction, but they didn't. And to Ray's point, I did like the payoff with Loki, where everybody's like, it's got to be King. It's got to be King. And then you get that payoff. And yes, this is what we've been waiting for. This is what we wanted. It's leading into this bigger storyline that we're all kind of anticipating. So, and that just overall, just I love that character's development from the beginning of the season to the 6th episode. So it was really cool.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I think with WandaVision, you really don't. I don't know. I don't feel like it leads into anything else too much, really, right? I mean, it kind of does, but it still feels like its own kind of thing, especially when you watch this. And then with, at least with Falcon and the Winter Soldier, you know that there's going to be a new captain, right? But the show is done, it seems like, right? Or are they doing another season? I can't remember.
I think it's done.
Yeah.
There's talk of another Captain movie.
Yeah,
but,
right. The movie, another movie, but maybe not another
series.
series. Yeah, and then, but with this show, it's with Loki. We know there's another one coming, and we know it's setting up for these other movies. So there's this again like this payoff with it, and so I think that's probably my favorite of the three. So, yeah,
Cool. All right. Yeah, the way it played out, yeah, Loki's sort of the top right now because it has an actual satisfying ending. WandaVision, the show was great. Loved the show.
Yeah.
Until the final, and I was like, boner. And then Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Is that the word you wanted?
Ralph Boner.
Boner.
Sorry, I was like, I don't think I've ever said like, oh, boner.
Ralph Boner.
New thing.
Yeah, it's more like boner.
Well, that's that. Yeah.
Never get upset about it.
My wife's grandmother didn't know what that word meant, and she goes, "Man, I pulled another boner today." And we're like, "What?" She goes, "Messed up."
Yikes.
Anyways, and then Falcon and Winter Soldier last because, from what I've heard, they had to shuffle stuff around, which really messed up the show because part of the show was supposed to be dealing with a worldwide pandemic, and they had to cut all that out, which messed everything up. I would be interested to see if we could go into another timeline, which we can't, but if we could, and go and watch it in the order that it was supposed to come out in, and see what I thought. Because WandaVision was supposed to come out last of these three. It was supposed to be Falcon, Winter Soldier, and then Loki, I think, and then WandaVision. So I'd be interested to see it in that order for a first time to see how I felt about everything.
And Black Widow was supposed to come out before.
Yeah, everything.
Falcon,
all of it.
Yeah. Which I haven't still seen Black Widow yet. I need to see it.
I watched it. I enjoyed it.
Yeah,
It was good.
Yeah, I want to watch it. I just haven't a chance. But so I would be interested to see what my ratings would be if it actually came out the way it was supposed to be, with everything that was supposed to be in it, with all the extra scenes that was supposed to be in, like WandaVision, and they were cut out. So I don't know. But yeah, Loki, because of the ending and the whole show, I mean, I liked it. Episode 5 was probably my favorite Marvel episode so far, because it was just so much fun. It was just tons of fun. Yeah, I could watch that episode over and over just to see all the craziness that happens with all the Lokis and all the Easter eggs. So there we go. That's it. That's Loki.
There it is.
The Roundtable. Now we're going to do this show again here in a few minutes with our variants, and we'll see what they have to say.
The grumpy ones.
Don't be alarmed if there's an alligator sitting here.
Over the top, Chris.
I thought it was really good.
Oh, one thing that I totally forgot to mention: who was the fourth statue in the Kang's place that was crumbled down?
It could be the Miss Minutes. Whoever's behind Miss Minutes.
Yeah. Now in the comics, there was 4 timekeeper people, right?
I thought there was 3.
No,
wasters.
there's a fourth one that got exiled because he sort of went against the other three, and he got sent to Egypt or something.
Oh.
I do my homework. So I wonder if the
Not
fourth.
enough because you don't know who that is.
I don't know their name. I'm sorry. I can't know everything.
Rivalry right there.
He's shooting for that C. He's like, I'm not getting an A. I'm not. B's a little too much work.
Sorry.
C.
I thought.
C.
Well, I just figured
You
Chris
tried.
would know all this, so I figured, Chris, what was the fourth time?
He'd fill in the
He would have
blanks.
been like, it's Joe.
Trying to copy my homework. Okay, let's see.
Just figured you know. So you didn't know there was a fourth one, huh?
I didn't know
there
there
was.
I mean, it could, like, it could have been the actual He Who Remained, like
Could
because
be.
in the comics that's not Kang. That's
An old wrinkly
Cage.
man.
He's an old wrinkly man.
He remained.
Yeah.
So I mean, yeah.
Do you still call him that?
So there could have been a TVA, and Kang came over as Immortus and took it over because in the comics, Immortus does try to take over the TVA from them.
We'll never know. Maybe.
Probably never know.
You might.
Maybe
Season
season
two.
two. That's the good thing about Loki, that there's going to be a season two, because now you can go, oh, maybe that's going to be in season two. Whereas the other two shows, you're like, well, we'll never know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I mean,
Never
they'll
know.
peel over into the movies. I mean, Captain America 4 will kind of probably pick up.
Yeah.
And but yeah, with White Vision, will we ever see him again? I don't know.
Will we ever find out who Monica Rambeau's scientist is? Probably no.
No. It was Kang all along.
It was.
Captain Marvel again? Is there like a part 2 for Captain Marvel?
Yeah, the Marvels, right?
You know, the Marvels. Like,
Just
she'll be
Mar-
in Monica Rambeau. Will be in
Yeah.
that.
Monica
Her
Rambeau.
and Miss Marvel will
Mhm.
both be in it.
Ah,
Okay.
there we go.
Yeah, that's another show that'll be coming out at some point. Miss Marvel.
And biggin. Is that what she says?
That's her catchphrase.
Yeah.
Ryan just shouting out boners and ambiggins.
Big and
I'm just repeating what Marvel people say. Anyways. Oh, man. All right. Until next timeline. Ray,
Yeah.
Dorian, thank you so much. Dorian, you sort of
course.
completed the round table. Now, every round table, you'll have to come back on to keep Ray in check and make fun of Chris.
Absolutely.
Uh,
I do that on the regular.
constantly.
Constantly.
Order.
What? Sorry.
Ray in order.
Yep. Keep
Yes.
Ray in order. We set the path up. You just walk down it.
Oh, what if?
What if? This has been I Am Geek episode 201. Can you believe it?
Wow.
We'll be at Comic Palooza
Wow.
this weekend, and next week we'll be back with the new episode. So check back with us. And then the next roundtable will be... I don't know.
What will it be?
What if, I guess?
September, probably.
Unless there's a movie. Maybe
Well, there
we'll
was
do a
Black
movie.
Widow. You guys haven't watched yet.
Yeah, we haven't watched it. Anyways. Thank you for joining us on I'm Geek, and we'll see you next week.
Bye bye.
You guys back.
I think we're still
We're on
too.
YouTube, yes.
Anybody is
No.
anybody on YouTube? Or they all go
I
there?
think they're. Well,
I'll
I
look
mean,
it
the thing is, not everybody's watched it yet, so you got to think that people saw, because I put spoiler in the description so people could
yeah, that's true.
skip over it, for now, and hopefully.
So I'm curious, when you're doing it on YouTube, are you so you're obviously seeing all the comments and stuff like that. Are you like editing that on the fly as well? Like, are you able to do any kind of thing other than just play the
It's a
video?
live stream,
It's a
right?
live stream, so
Yeah,
I'm
it's
taking
live.
all of
Yeah,
our
we're
images,
live.
and then the comments are coming up there on the side or whatever. So yeah,
That's why you
Caitlin's
can't
comment.
cuss.
I know.
but I edit later. I'll go back and like trim it up a little bit.
Well, come after us.
I was so close. Almost did it.
How many people were watching?
Uh,
Are we
Or
still
watching?
on, or do we say bye?
still
YouTube?
on,
Bye,
yeah.
YouTube.
we'll say bye, YouTube.
Yeah, bye, YouTube.
Bye,
Okay.
YouTube.
Bye.